Okay, I'm the organic research specialist for grain crops at Bradford Research Center. Cover crops are particularly important to organic growers because they do have a certified organic plan that they have to comply with, and cover crops are an important part of that. We have several different research projects dealing with cover crops and organics at Bradford. The first one is cover crops and greenhouse gases, which we have 2 grad students, and Newell Kitchen works on this one. This is a picture of Dara Boardman. She's collecting carbon dioxide and nitrous oxide emissions from a cornfield. The treatments in this research are, we have one treatment is no cover crop and we till, so normal practice. Second treatment is we have a winter cover crop, we mow it and then we till it. And third is we have a winter cover crop and we roll crimp it and then we no-till it, that's organic no-till, which is kind of a new thing in the United States. It was pioneered by Rodell. Then we also apply various compost rates, and we do this in a corn, soybean, wheat rotation. So we're looking at the interactions between the cover crops, the compost, and the compost that affect the carbon dioxide and nitrous oxide emissions. So you guys have seen this picture several times. This was pioneered for organic no-till by Rodell, and then they have a manufacturer out of Pennsylvania that makes most of these things. We've had mixed luck with this research project. As far as the gas emissions go, you don't get many gas emissions when you don't have rain. So Dara and Stephen are trying to figure out how they're going to get their degrees out of this research probably. But so in soybeans, we've had excellent results in the rolled cover crop. And when we roll this cover crop, in organic, we're doing this for weed control. So we need a thick a mulch, and so we'll get about 4-inch mulch. So soybeans we have not had many problems with. Corn, though, we have had problems with, and less this year than the year before, and this was probably more of a matter of our inexperience than anything. Our equipment wasn't set up quite right, and we really didn't get seed to soil contact. But I think this year, we had Tim had a workshop out at Bradford where we looked at different row closers and how we deal with our no-till coulters, and Tim's going to talk about that more, I think. But we removed the no-till coulters, changed the row closers, and there went his whole talk. And actually, we got the corn in the ground this year, so we had much better results. We have another study on when to plant the cover crop. You've seen some pictures of people planting into a standing cover crop. So in this project, the treatments are the cover crop is either mowed or we roll crimp it. So that's the split plot. And then the main treatment is we have 4 dates. First time we do it in the standing cover crop, and then we destroy the cover crop. The same day, we do it immediately after we destroy a cover crop, or we destroy the cover crop, plant 1 week later, and then plant 2 weeks later. So far, our results have been the 1 week later and 2 weeks later. Because we want this cover crop for weed control, we're letting it get really big in the spring, and so we're planting our corn fairly late, and that 1 week and 2 weeks is getting us into kind of the dry season. So those have not been very productive yet. So the one that's been worked the best for us is planting into the standing cover crop, because we're getting the best seed to soil contact doing that. We're not having to get the planter through that thick mat. We have discovered that it's hard to get the hairy vetch to die with the roller, and we're actually rolling it 3 times to try to get that stuff down. We found that mowing was the worst treatment because it causes hairpinning if you mow it before you plant. And hairpinning is when it takes the residue into the seed furrow, and that causes a lot of drying. So you can see from the picture there, we've had some kind of mixed results. That picture was from 2012, so drought has played a role in everything we've done on this research so far. Another project we're doing is the best summer cover crops from Missouri. This is one of the funnest ones because we're looking at so we're after a wheat crop, we're planting summer cover crops, and then these sometimes, then could be followed by a winter cover crop that would overwinter. But some of the ones we're looking at is sorghum Sudan grass and cowpeas. These are my two favorite, cowpea being a legume. Sesbania and sun hemp. Sun hemp, these two are tropical legumes, and all of these winter kill. And then buckwheat, and you really got to be quick with your buckwheat because it grows, flowers, and sets seed all in the same day. And then the forage radish, and also we have berseem clover as a treatment. So I do want to pass on an admonishment from Dave Robinson. Rob Myers and I heard him talk in Ellsbury one time. And he mentioned that a lot of university people and a lot of agency people use the term tillage radish. And we should stop doing that because that is a brand name. And you're basically advertising for that company if you say tillage radish. So we should say forage radish, oilseed radish, daikon radish. Only say tillage radish if you have used the brand tillage radish. So I just wanted to pass that on. And I myself am guilty of it, and I think most of us have been guilty of it. So the tillage radish for organic, I don't see a lot there for organic because it doesn't really provide much weed control, but it's good in a mix. This picture below is cowpea and sun hemp. Both of those have proved excellent weed control for us in organic. When we look at the summer cover crop yields, by far and above the big winner is sorghum Sudan grass. This was 2012, where we got 25,000 kilograms per hectare of biomass out of sorghum Sudan grass. In 2013, I got 40,000 pounds per acre. So if you want to talk about putting on organic matter, the sorghum Sudan grass really does it for you. But, the cowpea, that was just, it's 50 bushel an acre planting rate. We still got a lot of dry matter off cowpea. And then we're looking a lot at mixing them all together. So I noticed there's a lot of Department of Conservation people in the audience, and Tim has given them tours of these fields, and I think they've been pretty impressed with how they look. You can see we are letting the cover crop go to seed here, which is, maybe not something a lot of people want to do, but if we let this go into the winter, we're providing very nice habitat for songbirds, quail, all sorts of wildlife. So in this mix, we have sun hemp, cowpea, sunflower, buckwheat, milo, foxtail millet, Japanese millet, and brown top millet. And I meant to put sorghum Sudan grass in there, but I couldn't find any organic, so I had to use milo. But the mixes give us the really good coverage, really good weed control, and you can sit out there and just watch songbirds come and go. The way I was treating this field is I'm planting a winter cover crop in it, and I just went right in with the drill and drove right over what was there. I actually left half the field standing for songbirds and half the field down for quail and ground-eating animals. Another project we have is 7 different ways to transition from conventional to organic. So in this project, we're using conventional tillage versus no-till with crimped cover crops, and we're comparing that to growing a cover crop each summer and winter for the 3-year transition. So one treatment is nothing but cover crop for 3 years, and we want to look at how that changes our soil health and our weed issues in a field, and then we're comparing these other treatments to it. So far what we're finding is that no-till organic is hard to do. It's kind of unreliable because it's hard to get enough biomass to completely keep out weeds. And I think Kevin Bradley would tell you you get 5 or 6 weeks of weed control from the cover crop being down, and that is about what we're finding. This one thing we did different this year, after seeing the Rodale people talk a couple more times, is that we've been drilling the cover crop in and rolling it, and now we're drilling it this way and then drilling it that way. So now when we roll it, we'll have like 100% ground coverage. They also recommend if you're going to drill it that if you're not going to drill it 2 different directions, that you broadcast it, because you want to have no sunlight getting in there if you're using your cover crop for weed control. So the winter cover crop mix we use is cereal rye, Austrian winter pea, spring oats, hairy vetch, and crimson clover. And the sorghum Sudan grass is what we're using for the summer cover crop that we're growing for all 3 years. And it is proving to have excellent weed control. Basically, no weeds are growing in there. One other thing, I can't remember if I say this later, but we're finding that the weeds do come through the mulch, and that we feel like there needs to be more research on how to deal with mid to late season weed emergence through that cover crop mat. Newell Kitchen was part of some research back in the 90s on between row mowing, and we're trying to resurrect that at Bradford Farm for the organic growers. The technician on that said you'd decapitate a lot of corn plants doing that. But so another project we have is using cover crops for soil health and weed control on vegetables. Plastic mulch, and Jim Quinn's in the audience. Most of the commercial vegetable growers are getting their weed control with plastic mulch. Some use straw mulch, fabric mulch. So we're comparing those to crimped cover crop mulch. We're looking at soil health and weed control under those treatments. We do this with a spring lettuce that's planted in a winter cover crop mix, and that gets crimped before it turns reproductive. And then we're planting tomatoes into a winter cover crop mix, which gets crimped after the cover crop turns reproductive. And then we plant fall broccoli in a summer cover crop mix. This is a picture of one of the broccoli plots where we rolled the summer cover crop before it became reproductive, and that doesn't work. When you're going to roll crimp a cover crop, it has to have gone into reproductive stages. If it's still vegetative, it just pops right back up, which is what you can see in this plot. There was milo and I can see sun hemp standing up. So they just pop right back up. So in this case, we need to plant our summer cover crop earlier. And in the winter, in the lettuce, the same thing happened with the winter cover crop. Because we plant lettuce so early, the cover crop had not turned reproductive, and we didn't get good kill. I took a picture of this. I thought it was interesting. This is when we took the plastic and fabric mulch off the plots. This was off a tomato plot. And you can see that cover crop didn't degrade at all. Even though this was drip irrigated every day. So it had moisture. But apparently that soil is, I don't know if it's the actual mulch that's causing the problems. And we're going to find that out because we are doing PLFA analysis on this. But for some reason, that cover crop does not degrade underneath that. And then another thing we're doing at Bradford is Tim has the tomato festival and plants hundreds of varieties of tomatoes and peppers. And for weed control between the rows of the vegetable crops, we're planting cover crops. In this case, in this picture, you see sorghum Sudan grass between, and Tim mowed that on a regular basis throughout the summer, and it continued to grow each time you mowed it. And sorghum Sudan grass actually will put on more roots when you mow the above ground part. So, and then next year he can rotate those tomatoes where that sorghum Sudan grass is, and hopefully pick up on some additional soil health benefits from having that cover crop. And it cuts down on herbicide costs and is shown to be very good for weed control. In this picture, that's melons growing in the middle of sorghum Sudan grass, and on the other side is cowpea. And if you have a vining crop, you don't want to use the sorghum Sudan grass because it has to be mowed because sorghum Sudan grass gets 10 feet tall. So you can't mow the vining crop or you'll just damage your crop. So if you plant something like cowpea, then your vegetable crop can vine into it, and it's also a human can walk through it. Doug Peterson is in the audience. He's with NRCS, and he owns this Get Up Here, which is a rainfall infiltration table. Gives an excellent demonstration with it, where he has a tilled plot and cover crop and pasture plots, and it's amazing that no water infiltrates into that tilled with no cover thing he does. But I was showing this slide because we also did get a grant through NRCS at Bradford. We're doing 16 soil health workshops that focus on cover crops, no-till, and how those practices affect soil. We're doing these workshops across the state. We did the first one yesterday with the help of Jody Reisner from USDA, NRCS, and Kristen Wiem from ARS. So we encourage all the extension people in the audience to either in NRCS or NMDC to come and to encourage your clients to come. And we will be having, last year we had a Soil Health Expo at Bradford that focused on cover crops, and we'll be having one again this year. It'll be on August 15th. We did bring in national speakers last year, and we'll do that again. And then we did also purchase under our grant one of these rainfall infiltration tables. And for those of you in extension, that will be available for checkout from Bradford Research Center. And that's it.
Have any questions for Kerry?
I'm wondering if you've had any experience using pelletized cover crop seed in your broadcast planting method?
No, we haven't. The crimson clover, comes with the inoculant on it, but we have not used pelletized cover crop seed. And I did say something at this cover crop workshop yesterday that we had, that one of the producers said, "Oh, I'm glad you said that. That was worth me coming." And that's when we plant the mixes. I hope I'm not stealing Tim's thunder again. But when we drill the mix, a lot of farmers have questions about how to plant a mix. And the way I do it is I just put it in the drill, set the drill on the cereal rye setting, and that's what I end up with on the mix too. So if I set it at 90 pounds, what cereal rye would be at 90 pounds per acre, I'll get 90 pounds per acre of mix. One other comment I wanted to make too was that I've been going to a lot of soil health workshops around the state, and since this room is full of researchers, what I hear from farmers a lot is they want to know, first of all, I don't know if Rob left, but this is job security for him, a lot of them want to know more about grazing cover crops. No, not Rob Kallenbach. Rob Kallenbach. So they want to know about how to graze cover crops and how that will work out for them. And then a lot of growers want to know what to put in the mix, how much to put in the mix, when to plant it, how to plant it, which is what some of Charlie and Rich are doing. But a lot of farmers are wanting practical research on how they can deal with these cover crops.